What's happening, guys? It's Boxing Lowdown and I'm back here with another video. Now, I've brought my dad back on with me. What's going on? We had some great feedback from our last video that we did, so I thought
I enjoyed it, man.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too.
Yeah,
so I thought it'd be good to get you back, you know, for just a review. I did my own review on
Father like son.
Yeah, on the Joshua fight last weekend, but I thought let me just grab you and, you know, get your thoughts on it. So
afterthoughts, yeah. Let's
talk about it, man. Anthony Joshua boxed his way to a unanimous points decision, masterclass. What a lot of people are saying, you know, against Andy Ruiz. We did say in the preview video that, well, I did say as well that, you know, this is what he has to do. He has to like box smart and don't get too involved. And what were your thoughts watching the fight?
Well, first and foremost, I want to congratulate Anthony Joshua because he pulled off the win. It wasn't the most exciting fight, but it was intriguing, certainly while you were watching it live. But the reason why I give him so much credit is he was, let's face it, it was a shocking loss in which he'd been totally and decisively beaten.
Yeah.
And so for him to regroup, exercise a rematch clause, go away, train in isolation, come up with a game plan, him and his trainer Rob McCracken, go out and execute it, I thought you got to give him tremendous credit for that.
Absolutely.
Because, listen man, we said it on your show last week that in boxing, in rematches, they tend to go the same way, usually more decisively so for the fighter who won the first fight. So regardless of what he may say now, and I know he's a very humble guy, so I'm sure he wouldn't have been running his mouth too much, but he would have been having to exercise some demons going into that fight. You're facing a guy that had put you on the floor 4 times, beaten you decisively. And to do that with the whole world watching, the pressure that he was under, people saying that if he loses, he might as well retire. There's no way back. I thought he looked a bit nervous going to it. Yeah, he did. He did. Although he looked, obviously looked a lot better than he did
before,
on the 1st of June. But he did, you could see he was a little nervous. But sometimes that works well for you.
No, I was just about to say, it's not
necessarily. No, I remember,
I mean,
many years ago when I boxed, I always felt that the more nervous not too nervous, but you need to be on edge.
Yeah.
It's good for your mindset. It makes you sharper.
Yeah.
And your reflexes feel a bit sharper if you're more nervous. And he definitely went into the ring a little nervous, but it worked for him, man. I thought he boxed superbly well. Was it a great fight? No. But I don't think you can criticise him for that.
No.
I think all the criticisms are going to lay out.
That's what I was just about to say. I was just about to say I was very disappointed in his excuses, because let's get it right. It was excuses what he had after the fight. You know, how could you, as a heavyweight champion, going in there defending your titles for the first time, first ever Mexican heavyweight champion, you've got Canelo, the biggest star in boxing, coming over to cheer you on from the front row, and he's after the fight just saying, you know, I didn't prepare properly and, you know, I got distracted. That's not professional, is it?
I was going to say, as excited and pleased for Anthony Joshua as I was also as disappointed as I was in Ruiz, and I'll tell you why. Because we did the preview show, I think it was a day or 2 before the weigh-in, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
And I remember we spoke to each other on the day of the weigh-in, and he weighed in at 20+ stone. And I remember both of us saying that is way too heavy. Now, at the time, I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt and saying he's obviously carrying a bit more bulk, because I think their game plan will be to be strong and sturdy and to push AJ back, because we knew that AJ was going to box long. Pretty much everybody knew that. You didn't need to be a rocket scientist to know that those are going to be the tactics he employed. So I'm thinking that maybe Ruiz, with the extra bulk, would have been to take centre of the ring, and so that when they engage physically, AJ would feel his strength. But then even then I was thinking, wow man, 20 stone. A stone and a bit heavier than 6 months ago.
It's 50, yeah, a bit heavier.
It's not like he was even heavier for this fight than some of the fights he had when he was coming up as a novice. And I just thought that was ridiculous. But, you know, in my mind, I was thinking they know what they're doing, you know what I mean? It was one of them.
I thought that was part of the game plan. I thought he was just going to try and
because we were hearing stories, weren't we, early in the camp, that he'd lost a lot of weight, and there were some pictures gone out, and then he'd said publicly that he's going to put more weight on because he felt a bit weak. And I can understand that, because if you, in any environment, if you lose a lot of weight too quickly, you will feel weak, So I'm thinking the extra weight would have been to push Joshua back, give him a bit more strength. And not only that, obviously the bigger and stronger you are, the more it helps you to absorb punches. That's a physiological fact. Well, so I thought he was looking at that, but when I saw him at the weigh-in, and even at the weigh-in, it was interesting that he never took his shirt off.
No.
He tried to hide it with the sombrero and the tracksuit bottoms and all the rest of it. But when I saw him in the ring now, and he took off his robe, he looked awful, man. And I thought, wow, this guy's not trained properly.
But even so, I mean, the tactics going into the fight, he knew what Joshua was going to do. He even said it himself. So, I mean, there was no head movement, there were no feints, there was no, like, you know, I know he's got slow feet already, but I was disappointed that he didn't. I mean, surely he'll leave that ring thinking, like, you know, I could have done more. Yeah. But then maybe Joshua's, like, hard punches were throwing him off. Yeah. Maybe they were harder than he looked.
You're right, because in that first round, Joshua landed a cracking right hand that split his eye open.
Yeah.
And I think it's a combination of he felt that power. So, I mean, I think we said it, didn't we, in your preview show that Joshua hits hard enough, having decked him heavily in that first fight.
To keep him honest.
To keep him honest, to have Ruiz know that he can't just go in recklessly. So he got hit with that in the first round with that big right. It shook him up. You could see the way he took it, he stumbled back.
Yep.
He wasn't seriously hurt, but he felt it, put it that way.
Yep.
And he cut his eye. Mm-hmm. So straight away he's thinking, wow, I can't just run in there. And then for the next 11 and a half rounds, he just proceeded to follow Joshua. I only gave him one, maybe 2 rounds. I think there was one round, the 8th.
The 8th was a good round.
I think Joshua might have gassed or looking for his second wind or just took a round off. And he had a decent round. And you could tell that Joshua was a little bit wary of Ruiz's power, as he would be. The man had knocked you down 4 times 6 months ago. You're not just going to say, let's have a firefight, are you? Yeah. But I thought that what you would have been able to do was cut the ring down and then in the later rounds, engage Joshua, force him to fight. But how can you do that when you're out of air after 2 or 3 rounds?
No.
So, you know, there's a famous saying, not just in boxing, but in sport, fatigue makes cowards of men. And after he was gassing after about 3 or 4 rounds and not doing anything significant, you kind of knew that he was going to lose.
Yeah.
And this is where I was very disappointed with him as well. I mean, I don't know what they were saying to him in the corner because he wasn't privy to that.
But Manny Robles is a good trainer, isn't he?
Yeah, Manny Robles is an excellent trainer. But what I'm saying is, it's down to him, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I would have thought that you're 7, 8, 9 rounds down on the cards. You're heavyweight champion of the world. You've beaten this guy already. It's not like you haven't beaten him. Just go in and let your hands go, man. Just like, you know what I mean? Even if you're going to get countered and get hurt, you know, we was hearing all this Mexican warrior and Mexican pro. I didn't see none of it, bro.
Didn't see it, no.
And then after the fight, like you said, man, the man's there making excuses really about, you were the ones that ate them tacos and all that stuff, man. No one else.
So let's talk about what's next for both of them. Let's start with Andy Ruiz since we're talking about him. What does he need to do to get back in that heavyweight?
He needs to learn from what happened on Saturday night. I mean, in a way, I kind of feel a bit sorry for him because
it did get to his head, didn't it?
It did get to his head. It clearly did. And he looks like a nice guy. He's not he doesn't look like one of these arrogant, obnoxious guys. He looks like a humble guy that, you know, he found fame and riches almost overnight.
Yeah. And
it just went to his head a little bit. He admitted that he partied too hard. He was eating everything put in front of him. He was being invited to all these
events
and that, and he was going willingly, and I think it just got out of control. I mean, I heard a story. They were saying that that his dad and his trainer Manny Robles had set a date for him to come back to camp in the July after the fight. He never rolled up for camp until September. And in the intervening months, he was training himself, maybe going running 3 or 4 times or going down the gym, hitting a bag, and that's not the same as... So by the time he came into camp, he was already in trouble.
It's not the attitude you want of a heavyweight champion. I mean, let's be honest, people are going to look at him like another Buster Douglas now unless he does something good now in his career.
And that's unfortunate for him because he's a good fighter. Not that Buster Douglas is a good fighter as well, but that's how he's going to be remembered, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's a long road back for him now, and I really hope he can recover it. I mean, he's still a good fighter.
Yeah.
So if he can learn from this, do what Joshua did. Learn from his defeats, learn where he went wrong. Because Joshua said after the fight that he lost to Ruiz, that he'd made a number of mistakes.
Yeah.
Number one, he'd taken Ruiz a bit lightly, even though he trained, he said, but the mindset wasn't right. So boxing's one of those sports. It's one thing getting yourself fit, but to be fighting fit, you got to be mentally fit. You got to be on your game. You got to be sharp.
Yeah.
And I think Ruiz got to go away from this, take a long, hard look at himself, knuckle down and say, right, I'm going to give it another go. But the problem he's going to have is that he won't get an immediate rematch with Joshua. So he's basically going to have to work his way back up again.
Maybe fight, you know, he's in the PBC. What's the Polish, his name fails me, I should know. Battle of the Chunky Heavyweights.
Yeah. Oh, the American guy. It's from New York, right?
Yeah.
That one.
Babyface.
Yeah.
Not Jerome, should remember his name. Name fails me.
Yeah.
Polish heavyweight anyway, based in America.
Yeah.
That's who I'd like to see Ruiz fight. Both of them have a come forward style and like to fight. But yeah, I mean...
Dangerous fight for both of them.
Yeah, there are guys out there that, I mean, Ruiz can fight, but let's hope that he does get focused and, you know...
Yeah, listen, he's got the talent.
He's certainly got talent.
And he's got age on his side. He's not that old. He can come back from this, but it's whether he can learn the lessons of this defeat and stay disciplined. So, so the problem he's going to have is he seems like a naturally indisciplined fighter. And when I say that, I mean, I've done some reading up on him. And apparently, I mean, he started off his career, didn't he, with Bob Arum. And apparently him and Bob Arum fell out because Bob Arum regarded him as an indisciplined fighter. Yeah. So we know he's got that in him. He's got those traits in him of laziness and indiscipline. So it's whether at this age, because you know, he's getting on in years, although he's not too old, but he's getting on. Can he knuckle down? I'm not saying just for just one fight. He's got to do it now for the rest of his career and see if he can bounce back. Let's talk about the talent is there. It's whether he's got the mentality to do so.
Let's talk about Anthony Joshua then. I mean, redemption.
Sky's the limit, man.
Two-time heavyweight champion. Sky's the limit.
Enough respect.
Plenty of guys
Two-time?
Plenty of guys out there that we know we could fight. I mean, obviously we've got Fury and Wilder fighting in Feb, hopefully. We've got the likes of Dylan White, a rematch down the road. He's got 2 mandatories coming up, which are likely going to be his next move. IBF have ruled that he needs to fight.
I think he'll go down the IBF.
I think he'll fight Pulev, yeah. I don't see Pulev offering too much of a threat to Anthony Joshua at this point.
Nor do I.
I think Usyk will offer a much more of a threat, but they might...
Pulev will be game. I mean, listen, Pulev is not a walk in the park. I mean, do you remember the fight he had when he fought Vladimir Klitschko? Yeah. I actually thought that was one of Vladimir Klitschko's better performances. Yeah. Because if you recall, I think it was the 3rd or 4th round, Pulev hurt Klitschko in that fight.
Pulev, I think he abandoned his normal game plan in that fight, didn't he? He wanted to really hurt Klitschko in that one.
Pulev's been around a long time. He was a very good amateur. Crafty. He's big, he's strong, he can punch a bit. And, you know, I'm sure when the fight comes, he's very well supported.
He's like the Bulgarian Beckham, isn't he, over there?
Yeah. So even if they fight over here, Anthony Joshua's not going to go to Bulgaria. No. But I'm sure Pulev will have a lot of fans in the crowd when they do fight, and he will bring it. He's got nothing to lose, has he? No. So he's seen that Joshua can be hit and hurt, and Pulev's a decent puncher. So whilst he's still standing, he will represent a threat. He's got some good fundamentals. He's a good fighter, man. Good amateur, good fighter. I think he's only lost to Klitschko, hasn't he?
He lost to Klitschko, yeah.
Yeah, he beat Huey Fury quite convincingly. Yeah, man, he's decent. He won't be a walk in the park, but I fancy Joshua strongly. And then if he can beat Pulev, which hopefully he does, which he should do, then I can see Usyk looming on the horizon. I
think personally that he'll go the IBF route. And then I can see maybe the WBO belt being vacated, which Usyk will fight for. Because that way, at least it stays underneath the Matchroom umbrella, doesn't it? Yeah, that's true. So then they could maybe have Usyk fight and win with that, and then maybe them two can meet down the line.
Yeah, the boxing politics will inch. Yeah, you're right. So if he goes down the IBF route, and he beats Pulev.
Get that mandatory out the way.
Yeah, he'll get that mandatory out the way. Meanwhile, it's possible that the WBO might strip him because he's not fought their mandatory challengers, Usyk. Usyk may meet Dylan White, maybe.
Dylan White could be,
or AN other.
But it's still all underneath the umbrella.
Still under the Eddie Hearn. So if he comes through, whoever comes through that fight,
they can face
Usyk or
Joshua.
AN other, then they will. And I'll tell you, I'd give Joshua a good chance of beating Usyk.
You do?
Yeah, because
a lot of people I've spoken to after that fight are saying, not necessarily the last one, but I mean, a lot of people are saying, you know, they don't know. I know a few people that think Usyk will.
Yeah, I could see why they would say that, but then I also see that Usyk is not a big heavyweight, obviously.
He hasn't felt a real heavyweight.
No, exactly.
Professional heavyweights punch.
I've watched a lot of Usyk's fights, and he can be hit.
He can be hit.
He can be hit. Tony Bellew was touching him. And when he was in the WBSS series, he was being touched up a bit there. You know what I mean? He's had some hard fights. So he's not invincible. He can be touched. And when you've got a guy like Joshua, man, a lot bigger, physically stronger than Usyk, I think if he, you know what I mean? He may be one of them where Joshua's getting outboxed, but then later on in the fight, his strength and his power might tell. So I certainly wouldn't write Joshua off in that.
I think he's got, after this whole Ruiz saga, I think this is only going to make him a much better fighter than he was, and I think that it's going to help him down the line against fighters like Usyk and whoever he goes up with. But exciting times again.
Yeah, listen, the heavyweight division is as exciting now as it's been in many a year. And like I said before, you've got, now that Joshua's back, he's joining the likes of Wilder, Fury, Usyk, Dillian White, Pulev, Hrgovic coming up.
Looked very good.
You know what I mean? And
Dubois.
Oh yeah, let's not forget Dubois.
Joe Joyce
in a few years' time, Joe Joyce. There's the Nigerian guy.
Yeah. Got Bacoli.
Yeah, yeah.
Loads of guys.
No, the Nigerian, he's fighting in America now. I think he's fighting with Ronnie Shields. F8 Ajagba.
Yes, Ajagba.
Watch out for him, man.
Yeah. So it's exciting times.
So
man.
yeah, it's exciting times. And the thing that everyone loves about the heavyweights, including myself, is, and Andy Ruiz showed us this earlier on in the year, is on any given night, you get these guys, man, 16, 17 stone plus, and they're hitting each other. You can't write anybody. Even, I digress slightly. Did you see Dillian's fight?
Saw Dillian's fight.
The way he was getting touched, man, by Marius Vac, getting hit clean, I was like, rah.
Yeah.
There was a couple of moments in that fight, man, where Dillian looked a bit uncomfortable, to say that. And I'm a Dillian fan. But I was watching that, I was like, wow, man, he's getting touched up in this fight.
It could.
So
this
is what happens in heavyweight boxing.
Michael Hunter as well.
Michael Hunter as well. I mean, even that fight, that was a good fight, man. I mean, he nearly had
Povetkin out of there.
But then later on, Povetkin came back, touched him, wobbled him a few times. He came through, he looked good. So yeah, you can't rule him out.
Yeah.
So it's everything to play for, man. But well done to Joshua. There's a lot of people criticising him. So for him to go away, regroup, get himself together, both mentally and physically, put in an almost flawless performance like that, you got to give him a lot of credit. Like I said, it wasn't the most exciting fight, but he did a tremendous job.
Definitely did a tremendous job. Well, that rounds up pretty much what we have to discuss, our post-fight thoughts to Joshua and Ruiz #2. Make sure you guys don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Click like, share the video, and make sure you comment. Let us know what you feel. Thank you guys for listening. Catch you on the next one.